She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hey, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Our team is very blessed. All of us here are so very blessed that you decided to join us today. I believe that today is going to bless you. I believe that today is perhaps has the possibility of causing you to make some new decisions for your true successful life. Not the status quo of success. Not what the media tells you success is. But what you define it to be for you, for your life, for who your personality is, for the calling that's on your life, for who you are as a parent, as a spouse, or one that wants to find one of those, for who you are as a coworker, a business owner, who you are as a human being. Today, I believe, is going to challenge you to think, maybe make some new decisions that could transform and change the rest of the days you have here on earth. I came across something a few months ago that has completely renovated my mind about a subject that I was terrible with. It challenged me in new ways. In fact, I found a book that completely motivated me in a direction where I was a complete atheist. I'm not talking about spiritually. You know where my position is spiritually. But I was a fitness atheist. In fact, I was even an activist about being an atheist in fitness. Yes, you've heard me say, the only exercise I get is in the master bedroom unless the kids are gone. But it's, biblical exercise. That's the kind of exercise I get. And it's managed to maintain my size 6 and having 5 kids. Yes, I cook for the family 6 nights a week and clean my own house, even as a multi-millionaire. I don't have a housekeeper. I do not have a chef. I do not have a driver. I do all these things myself. I scrub my own toilets, do my own laundry, run to the grocery store for the food, do all the meal planning. I do all of that. And come to find out that all that stuff helped me to burn calories and to maintain a certain physique, if you will. But I found that as I got older, more and more health challenges started to rise, and I started to get weaker. Not being able to lift a bag, not being able to lift a grandbaby, meaning, he's 40 pounds. He's not light. But just feeling weaker and finding myself covering myself up, getting self-conscious without even thinking about it, right? Well, I'm not going to wear that because it shows my arms, or, I think I'm not going to wear shorts anymore. I think I better wear skirts during the summer. Just starting to cover up. And then it was like, I'm hiding. I'm obviously not feeling good. That I'm getting weaker. I keep having these health issues pop up. Then I found this book by Tom Venuto called Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle. He talked about different types of body types in that book. And I realized that I had taken for granted what I had been given. You've heard us talk a lot here on the Dani Johnson Show about diligence, about excellence. Well, there's this little area in my life where I definitely lacked diligence. In fact, there was no effort at all. None. And what was that? Maintaining strength. Did you know that you and I, by the time we are 65 years old, we will lose 45% of our muscle? We might be the same size. Some of us who are, let's say, able and diligent enough to maintain our size through what we do with food or whatever. But we will lose 45% of our muscle by the time we're 65. Well, I'm almost 50, and I can definitely attest to the fact that I am much weaker than I was 20 years ago, and I didn't like that. Tom Venuto's book completely transformed my mind about my future, about my health. And the reason why I'm having him back on the show is because I cannot let another day go by knowing that you just put something in your mouth that may slowly be killing you. That our sedentary lifestyle, we have machines that do everything for us today. Our physical bodies were not made to be sedentary. But our current modern life is killing us slowly. Do you want 15, 16, 20 medications on your nightstand like my parents had just to stay alive? Do you want to just give in to this, I'm getting older. Well, that's just aging. Do you want to be one of the statistics that the clothing manufacturers follow? They just know. Have you ever been in the youth department and go all the way up in the same size? Say the same size 6, is not the same in women's. It's not the same in the elderly. They keep getting wider and wider and wider at the waist and in the arms and in the hips and in the legs. Do you want to continue to grow and get bigger and sicker with a poorer quality of life? Oh, Dani, quit talking to me about what I'm eating. Don't talk to me about my life. You're the one that turned this show on. And this show is about your success. And we're not talking about status quo success. We're talking about success in every area of your life. And if you don't have health and you do not have your strength, you don't have squat to enjoy the family, the vacations, or the money. You don't have squat to enjoy the reward for your labor. So your health and your fitness has to be part of it, just like it has to be part of mine. It was a huge pill for me to swallow. But Tom Venuto joining us today, Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle, best-selling book, best-selling author, here to clobber us with some more truth. Tom, thanks so much for taking time to join us today again.
Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about this weight training thing, because that, like I told you before, I knew of some people that did it, and it was almost like a religion. You know what I mean? And it was completely out of balance. And I thought to myself, I don't want to lift weights. That's not me. Put a basketball in my hand, I could run on the court for a couple of hours. But lifting weights, how boring. Should women, or should men and women who do not have a goal to become a bodybuilder, follow what's in your book, Burn the Fat and Feed the Muscle?
Yes, and for more reason than one. It's not just about looking good and feeling stronger. What you said was 100% true about losing muscle as you get older. Everybody knows there's an obesity epidemic. I mean, we can see it everywhere. But what most people don't realize is that we have a muscle loss epidemic.
Yes. I was the skinny fat person, no question. That I could still look good in clothes, still small, but what was my body fat? Well, I didn't even start tracking it. I got on a scale back in April. It was like almost 27%. Okay, now that's not obese, but that's not where it should be when it was 15 years before at 14%. And when I looked at how fast my body fat increased and how much weaker I had been, that's a poor quality of life. But why should we weight train if we're not becoming competitive athletes, or we're not becoming bodybuilders who are, being on a stage in a thong, showing off our muscles?
Well, the number one, right. Well, the number one goal for most people, number one fitness goal, is to get leaner, to cut some of that body fat. And to do that, you do need to reduce calories. You don't have to starve yourself, but you need a caloric deficit. Now, if you do even a sensible nutrition plan that puts your calories in a deficit, and there's no weight training to go with it, up to 30 to 50% of the weight you lose can come from lean body mass. So the secret to keeping the muscle you have, let alone building more, but just keeping what you have while you're dieting, is adding weight training. You put the two together, I mean, it just works like magic.
It really does, because in the first part of the year, I started to just cut my calories, right? And this is before I found your book. And then I started to walk, but my body composition was not changing. Nothing was changing. I'd lost some weight, gained it, through the weekends. I was that kind of ridiculous eater. Do really good Monday through Friday. And then Saturday, forget about it. It was so bad. And then Monday, there I was again, the same place I started the week before. I was so frustrated. But when I started to read in your book, that really transformed my mind about weight training, and again, it's just all math. It's all science is all math. Is that you will burn more calories the more muscle you have, which to me equates to I can eat more.
True.
Because I'm a foodie, big time. So if we don't have as much muscle, we can't eat as much to maintain the scale. Let's say it's not even about composition. It's about, for most of us, it's what the scale says.
And that's why a lot of people who only diet go down this negative spiral, and they lose less and less fat as the weeks go by on the diet. Yep. And eventually they hit a plateau, is because they're not just losing fat, they're losing a lot of muscle along with the fat. So as a result, metabolism gets slower and slower and slower. So everything that looked so simple on paper when they started, okay, I'll just do this calorie deficit of, 500 or 750 or 1,000 calories a week or whatever you choose. It just looks like simple math in the beginning. But if you don't realize that you're dropping muscle, then you don't know why you're stuck when you get stuck. And the best thing to do is not to get stuck in the first place. And you can do that if you weight train when you're cutting calories to burn fat.
Yeah. And so maintaining the muscle, and that's what became a priority for me, because it's like, hold on a second, man, if I'm going to lose 45% of my muscle by the time I'm 65, weight training is just well, first of all, I need to catch up to what I lost over the last, 30 years of not doing anything. And then how do we maintain that muscle? How do we not lose it? You know what I mean? From wherever it is that we're starting. Me, I'm the age that I am, almost 50 in 2 years. And then, 65 is right around the corner to me in my head. But how does the average person not lose the muscle on this, let's say, aging process?
Weight training with the right nutrition. And also, a lot of people get into a trap because they're so focused on weight loss, and so focused on getting thinner and leaner. And that's just, 90% of the focus in the fitness industry is just leaner, skinnier, smaller. And, gaining muscle sometimes is a good thing, even if you're a female, because this is what gives you curves. This is what literally transforms your body and gives your body shape. Curves in the right places, that's muscle. But the weight training is the key. The research on this goes back many, many, many years. I remember Dr. William Evans, when he was working at Tufts University, did studies on 80 and 90-year-olds. 80 and 90 years old, had them start weight training for the first time in their life. They gained strength and they gained muscle, even after age 80 and 90. Now, granted, it wasn't the kind of muscle that you would gain when you're 20 or 30,
sure,
but they still improved. You can improve at every age. And, it may be more difficult to gain muscle, but you can stop. You can literally stop. If you can't reverse the muscle loss that comes with the aging process, you can stop it, and you can start it at any age. And the sooner you start, the better. And it's never too late to start.
On that note, I have to tell you, because I feel like God has planted these pictures in front of me, planted your book into my hands. Literally, it's been an amazing journey that truly has been at the hand of God for me. One of them was a picture of an 82-year-old bodybuilder. She's holds the world's Guinness Book of Records, as the, oldest female bodybuilder. And she's a competitive bodybuilder. She does the whole shows in her bikini at 82 years old, Ernestine Shepard. In fact, I want to show her picture. This inspired me. I said, that's my 82-year-old goal. Look at her body. She looks better than most 20-year-olds. She looks better than most 16-year-olds. Because today we have this obesity epidemic. This is Dani Johnson, returning more with Tom Venuto right after this.
If you've been overweight and out of shape your whole life, is it even possible to change? Or does there come a point where you're just too far gone? Dani has more with Tom Venuto after this.
Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
We own our own business, and we were working like crazy. We have actually 3 kids and 1 on the way right now. And for me, I was working all the time. In fact, for the last 10 years, I've been working probably close to 80 hours a week. And no time with the family, just totally, really, actually, it was pretty awful. In fact, we were really struggling with the family dynamic, and the business wasn't growing. Just felt like it just wasn't gonna happen.
Previous to having kids, I had helped with the business, but then after we started having kids with each child, kind of had backed out from that more, and then really just had kind of grown to resent a lot of what was going on in the business because I just felt like it was competition for me and for my family, for my kids. I just felt like we had to constantly be competing with his work. We just felt really stuck. in all aspects of life. And once he started really plugging in and I started plugging in, the main difference that I saw was just his priorities really started changing. Like, I had never really even seen him try to implement time management, really, you know? I mean, it was always just like, this is what I have to do, this is business, this is how we do it here. Our communication skills just started being so much more open between us just from spending that little bit of time together. Because he hadn't been devoting any specific time to me, literally. I was not on the calendar, I mean, we had time together, but I didn't feel honored or prioritized, or I didn't feel like anything was specifically for me. So that just like totally changed my view of him and just me wanting to support him. Just that one thing was a huge thing for me, just him putting me on his calendar. And it immediately changed the stress level in our home because there wasn't competition. You know, I didn't feel like I was having to compete for his time. Immediately, I just felt like so much more, I had just a whole different level of respect for him. Seriously, like it was like an immediate change.
From a business perspective, after plugging into First Steps and Dynasty, we actually cut my hours back. I cut my hours back to no more than 40 hours a week. Cutting my hours back to 40 was kind of stressful, but I cut it back and I found that I actually became more productive. And our business, within a year, we actually raised up 3 new six-figure income earners within our team, which just feels awesome. Our income has exploded, and we have more free time to spend with Heather and the babies, and it's just it's been amazing.
Yeah.
How much have we paid off?
We paid off $95,000 debt in 24 months. That'll be great.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Joining me, Tom Venuto, out from New Jersey right now. He lives between California and New Jersey. He is a fitness expert, nutrition expert. You have perhaps read his articles in the most famous and most popular bodybuilding magazines and nutrition magazines. He has completely transformed my life. He turned an atheist activist against fitness to a 100% believer. And I can't stop talking about it because I feel so much better and feel so good. And this is not a fad for me. I'm still continuing and I have some goals. Tom, thanks so much for joining us. You and I were just talking about Ernestine Shepard. Have you ever seen her pictures?
I have, yeah. She's amazing.
Man, seriously, and I have to tell you, I met a friend of a friend who was 70, and she was totally fit. And that started to change my mind, like, okay, 70 can look like that. I began to see the beauty of how God put together our bodies and what can happen with them, like the transformation that can happen with the physical body. Like in your case, you know, you were the guy with moobs that you've been fit now for... Geez, that's like 40 years, dude.
Almost.
Yeah, that's a long time. It is amazing how fast the body does respond. So if someone was to get a hold of your book today and they were to start doing everything, because remember when you and I had our conversation, like, Dani, what made the biggest difference? I'm like, I figured out what my calories, figured out how many calories I'm supposed to have based on what my body weight was, my body size, and et cetera. Figured out the macronutrients, which you helped to tell us what that was, and then started with the weed training and the cardio, which I had already been doing some videos, and I love the videos, and I still use the videos. And as I studied your program, it's like the videos are the same. It's like the same kind of thing, but now I was adding weights to the videos versus not holding any weights at all. And there's a huge transformation. So is there an age or is there a size? Do you know what I mean? If someone's 200 pounds overweight, if someone has never been an athlete, if somebody has never had a desire, like me, to get fit, can they actually do it? Is it possible for their body to be transformed into something that's beautiful, something they would feel confident in, something they could walk around in a bathing suit in, something that they could be naked before their spouse with the lights on and not be hiding themselves? You know what I mean? So that they would just feel super good about themselves. Is that possible if someone is 200 pounds overweight with no prior physical fitness at all?
No matter what your age and no matter what kind of condition you're in now, absolutely yes, 100%.
How do you know? How do you know?
Well, you can improve beyond where you are now. That's an absolute certainty.
But what's your proof?
I've seen it for going on 40 years now. I've seen the examples. And, you mentioning Ernestine is a perfect example. I think, people have doubts. People will say, how do you know? How do you know? I don't believe you. People will have doubts until they see enough examples that it's possible, because then your mindset changes. That's part of the mental training that you have to do, is you have to change your mindset about what's possible. And you do need to believe it's possible.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy. At times it's really hard. At times it's really trying, but it is possible. In fact, if you think it's going to be hard at times, if you expect that, if that's your expectation, you'll work harder and you'll be more likely to stick to it when the times do get tough. But you have to believe you can do it. So, self-belief, self-faith is so important. That component has to be there. So if you have that, and it helps if you see more and more examples of people who have done it, that self-belief is going to grow. How
do you grow that self-belief? That's what we'll talk about when we continue after this break. How do you build that? Because so many people have just given up. And here's a big part of it. We say, well, I'm built like my mother, or I'm big boned, or, you know what I mean? All of these mindsets that really were passed down from our family. And my goal was, I just hope I don't get as much cellulite as my mom. That was like as long as I don't look like that, I'll be okay. What a terrible bar. That is so lame and pathetic that was my goal. Okay, as long as I'm not covered, from my neck to my ankles in cellulite, I think I'll be okay. That's not a standard, especially for someone like me and what I teach and what I believe in. That's not how I created wealth. I didn't create wealth by having a short, small bar. That's ridiculous. And so I believe, and I'm challenging you right now, in Tom Venuto's book, I completely turned this fitness atheist into an activist. And you got to get the book now. Burn the fat, feed the muscle, Tom Venuto, and get his second book while you're at it, The Body Fat Solution. Are you an emotional eater? That's how I used to be. His book handles all that, handles all the mindsets concerning weight and concerning fat and concerning body image. These are epidemics that are out there that need to be addressed, and his book by far is the best I've ever seen to address it, to help get us over and put us in our mind the place where it needs to be. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Stay right here for more of the Dani Johnson Show.
I just heard this amazing story. One of our clients had written us telling us that they had used job domination and unlimited success, and it has absolutely exploded their career. He said, Dani, I don't know where I'd be today without job domination and unlimited success. Listen, do you want more recognition from your coworkers? Do you want to be recommended to people all over the world? Do you want to be somebody that is highly sought after? Listen, if you're in a dead-end place where this gentleman found himself, but then learned new strategies and changed everything in his work life, and obviously this has resulted in higher bonuses and pay raises, you're next. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of Job Domination right now. 888-757-8880. Again, 888-757-8880. Job domination. That's what you need. It's time for you to dominate the job market and break through the rut that you're in.
Prior to getting to Dani Johnson's First Steps to Success, my husband and I were completely broke. We just filed bankruptcy. We lost our home to foreclosure and we were on food stamps. After the second day of her event, we figured out where all our money was going. We got ourselves out of debt in 3 months. We paid off $18,000 worth of debt and are completely debt-free. And now we've finally created a life of our dreams. We've made a 6-figure business and we're just doing everything that we want. So if you're thinking about coming to First Steps to Success, you've got to make it happen. Sign up right now and make sure you don't miss it.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was hopelessly lost in addiction. My relationships with people, coworkers, family, friends failed. I was struggling under the bondage of debt, and I had no clear vision or purpose for my life. After taking my first steps to success, I've been able to pay off $7,000 in debt in about 4.5 months. I have a clear vision and purpose for my life. I can honestly say that my addictions are a thing of the past. If you're interested in changing your life in whatever way, in whatever area, you need to log into DaniJohnson.com, and you need to be at the next first steps to success.
Prior to coming to First Steps, I was miserable. I never talked to people because I thought I was shy, I thought I was boring, and I thought that I was destined to be alone forever. After coming to First Steps to Success, I broke through all of those lies. I built confidence, and I used the skills that I've learned there to get myself an amazing job where I will be put quickly into a position of leadership. So if you're ready to find out who you are, why you are the way you are, and how to get new skills to dramatically change your life, you need to join me at the very next First Steps to Success. No excuses, no delays, get registered now.
Hi, my name is Paul. I'm from Massachusetts. And before plugging into DaniJohnson.com, I was buried under a sea of self-doubt, fear, and my communication skills were non-existent. Sales non-existent as well. But after attending First Steps to Success, my sales have quadrupled, my fear has been lifted, and my relationships are better than ever because I communicate better than ever. If you want your life to turn around, all your dreams start coming to fruition, you are going to be at First Steps to Success.
Prior to plugging in to Dani Johnson, my husband and I were drowning in a sea of debt. I had broken relationships all around me of the ones that I cared most about, and I had started a company that was losing more money than it was making. And after plugging into Dani Johnson, we have paid off $196,000 in 13 months. My company has grown 90%, and I have relationships that I could never have even imagined with the ones I care most about around me. So I don't know about you, maybe you're making all the money you need to, maybe you're doing great, maybe your relationships are phenomenal, but if they're not, I encourage you to get to the next First Steps to Success.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
Dani, this is all fine and dandy, but I'm just not the athletic type. I'm just not motivated. I hate sweating. Boy, have I heard that before. Boy, did that come out of my mouth. I'm not kidding you. I was terrible concerning that. But you know what? In your equation for success, think about it, friend. Quit fighting it. Think about it. Think this through. Look ahead. Look at your future. What does it look like? Do you like what you see? If you don't, you have to change it here. Tom Venuto's book, Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle, as well as a second book, The Body Fat Solution, completely transformed my mindset concerning my health and fitness. The results have been amazing. Not just physically, but emotionally. To not hide myself anymore. To not feel self-conscious anymore. To not accept something I didn't want to accept, that I began to accept. Well, I'm getting older. Well, I don't look as bad as I could. I've had 5 kids. Hey, it's okay if I go up a size. It's okay if I go from a 6 to 8. It's okay. Just justifying excuse after excuse. Why? Because I was completely lazy when it came to fitness. I was completely closed-minded when it came to fitness. And health and fitness go together. That's the main thing that I've learned here. Tom, that's a massive revelation because it seems to have been sold as two separate things. Fitness is for those athletic types that want to sweat, who love to be in a gym, which I hate being in a gym. My gym is in my house. I got dumbbells under my bed. That's my gym. But so many of us see the fitness, arena as just, ew. Like, I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want to be like those people. How sad that we feel that way, right? And then the nutrition is over here in this other thing. But can you tell us how they are 100% together, one and the same?
Well, you talk about people who they don't like to sweat. They've never done fitness before. Yep. They're fitness atheists.
Yep.
And if you look at that if you look at it from the point of view that fitness isn't just one thing, there's a lot of different activities you can choose for fitness, and you can find something that you love. You've got to believe that you can find something that you love. For example, you say, I don't like lifting weights, but there's so many different types of lifting weights. In fact, there's something we call resistance training. Lifting weights is just one type of resistance training. You could get started with something as simple as push-ups and body weight exercises. And a lot of people find that they really enjoy that. You might like to lift alone at home. You might like to lift in a gym. You might like to work out in a group. And there's resistance training classes that you can take. And, when it comes to the cardio side of training, I mean, it's almost infinite, the kind of things you can do. You can do it indoor, you can do it outdoor, you can do classes, you can do it alone. There's 20 different types of machines. I don't lost count of how many types of classes there are. I mean, I can guarantee you that you will find something you love. And if you'll go into this with the attitude that I can learn to enjoy this no matter, even if you're the type of person who doesn't like to sweat, you've never worked out a day in your entire life, you can find something that you enjoy. And it's really, that's one of the keys to sticking with it too. Because we don't want to just do this for a 12-week transformation contest. We want to stick with this, and that solves the problem.
One of the things that I started to change that helped was walking. I just started walking, and I like to pray. I'm one of those praying mamas, and I got a lot of people to pray for. So I walk through my neighborhood, and it's like almost 3 miles. It's up and down some major steep hills. So started there, and then I had spent a lot of time in Nicaragua and Honduras. I need to learn Spanish. I have an app on my phone to teach me Spanish. So now it's like I'm not going to sit and learn Spanish. I don't want to sit and read ever again. This sedentary life that I have found myself in, like the older I get, the more I want to sit. The more I want to sit, the more I want to read, the more I want to drink a glass of wine and have some cheese and some crackers and some olives. Talk about the worst combination of things to do. Whatever. Sit, read for hours. We're talking I could read for 8-10 hours, no problem. And eat the worst possible things that I should be eating while I'm doing nothing. And so for me, it was like, I'm not sitting anymore. I'm not going to sit and read no more. So I read and walk. I'm doing my Spanish lessons and walking. And yes, I sweat. And yes, I'm heading up a hill. And yes, sometimes I have to stop because it's painful. But fitness and health are together. Tom, can we talk about that? Because that for me, it was like I was leaving out a huge portion of health, a huge portion of nutrition, by keeping fitness out of it. But I mean, studies have proven that people are so sedentary, they're dying because of that, because they're sedentary. You could eat right, but be totally sedentary and still not be healthy.
Yeah, I mean, well, it starts by setting goals for both. Set goals for fitness, set goals for health, and set goals for improving the way you look. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not just vanity. But if that's your only goal, I think it's unbalanced. So set health goals. One of the things that it inspires me and makes me the happiest to be in the fitness profession and the health and fitness profession is when people not only show me their before and after pictures and I see the visual, the cosmetic, but they say, here's my numbers from my doctor. My blood pressure, was 150 over 100, and now it's normal 120 over 80. And then they give me their blood cholesterol stats and blood sugar, and everything is great. Sometimes they even get off medication, and I see this health transformation. So and I understand why sometimes there are criticisms of just body transformation, and it's because of that word "just." There's more to it than just body transformation. And this is going to increase your motivation as well if health is one of your goals, because we all want to be healthy. I mean, your health is our greatest wealth. We can't do anything else without our health, especially as we get older.
Yep. Okay, so what are some of the ways that we can stay motivated? I was talking about Ernestine Shepard. I was talking about the 70-year-old that I met at Thanksgiving last year. In fact, her body was so beautiful, I fondled her with permission. I'm like, can I touch your butt? I just want to, wow, 70 can feel like this? I'm game. What do you do? How have you done this? And of course, she eats right and she works out, and I had no idea a 70-year-old body could look like that. My daughter started doing some fitness stuff. That was a miracle. That was a complete miracle. So I had these different people that, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. But what are some of the ways that you teach your clients to stay motivated, or what do you tell your clients that will inspire them to keep moving forward with this goal?
Well, you mentioned one already, is getting role models. That's a great one, and I think it's underappreciated. Also, in terms of other people, is get a support system in place. And sometimes people struggle with that because they may or may not get the support they want from their family or from their immediate friends. But it's easy to jump online and find a community for support. It's not that hard because there's other people in the same place as you. And another strategy is to set goals and set a lot of little goals. I'm not against setting big goals. I think you should set big goals and little goals. I think you should set big goals that almost are scary. They excite you and scare you at the same time. But see, that's the long-term goal, and I think you should have that. I don't think it's wrong to set really big goals. Like if somebody says, "I want to be like Ernestine Shepherd and I want to be a bodybuilder," and I'm 80, I think that's okay. If somebody wants to compete for the first time, that's a huge goal. I think it's fantastic, but you're not going to get there without setting the small goals. And the thing about small goals that's motivating is, first of all, it gives you something to focus on. And if you keep repeating that goal every day, one of the things I always recommend is to keep a goal card in your pocket and pull that card out over and over again, looking at your goal, and it just kind of programs your subconscious mind to take action and to stay motivated. But even more than that, if you set small little goals, even the day-to-day goals, like for example, when you go into the gym, what exactly are you going to do that day? And a goal that you've never accomplished before, just a little step beyond what you've done before. When you hit that, that's a big win. And even though it was a small goal, it's a big win in the way it motivates you.
And, on your list of goals, okay, so that's like the fitness part, but in that same card, you could have how much debt you want to pay off by what date and how much debt you're going to pay off this week and next week and the following week. Same with your marriage, like you want to improve that. So what are little things that you can be doing that you have on the same goal card? The goal card doesn't have to just be fitness. It can be, hey, I want to improve each area of my life. I want to inch ahead in becoming better as a parent, as a spouse, as a business professional, as a financial person, as a spiritual person, and of course, the health of taking care of the temple. You are the temple of the Holy Spirit. What does your temple look like? Does it look like the ruins in Israel that are 3,000 years old, 2,000 years old? Is that what they look like? That's what mine was looking like. or what do they look like? What's the quality of the health on the inside, below the skin, underneath the skin, the organs, all of that stuff? You can succeed as long as you start, as long as you continue, as long as you put some diligence towards it, and you don't give up. There's no question. A few weeks back, we had Carmen O'Quinn on this show. She had lost 160 pounds in 13 months doing the things that we're talking about here today, doing the same exact things that Tom Venuto writes about. This is a woman who was never going to lose weight, never cared about it, until she realized that with two parents overweight in the house, that her two babies had an 200% chance at being obese like she was. That did it for her. So you will find your motivation. You just need to get started. Let this conversation continue. Get a hold of Tom Venuto's book. He transformed an atheist with fitness into a big believer. The book, Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle, Tom Venuto, and The Body Fat Solution. Get your copy right now. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
If you have a fitness goal but you don't know where to start, this next segment might change your life. Get expert advice from Tom Venuto next on The Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
So 4 years ago in July, we showed up to our first Dani Johnson event, our first Steps to Success. And we were completely desperate in every area of our life. At the time, I thought it was just because of our finances, but then I figured out pretty quickly that it was because of my lack of people skills that we were where we were. We sat in the front row. We got fast track, and we sat in the front row right in the center next to some amazing people because we We were so hungry, so desperate, so broken, and I pretty much cried through the entire event, honestly. And when she did the War on Debt, which she will show you, this afternoon, I went back immediately and got it. She had just started talking. I heard a couple stories, and I was like, if they can do it, I know we can do it. So we went back and got it and listened to it on the way home in the car, because we drove from Michigan all the way to Missouri. So we listened to it in the car, and when we got home, we immediately got our papers out. We wrote down our plan, and we started applying it. And within 14 months, we paid off over $62,000 worth of debt. We never in a million years thought that was possible. There's so much that has happened in the last 4 years, and I'm the person that wants the results immediately. I don't like the process of getting there. I want to just get there. But I've learned to appreciate the process over the last 4 years, and just seeing the transformation that has happened in us. Personally, we individually experienced different things, and we experienced a lot of things together. I was paying our bills. I was completely disrespectful to my husband and didn't really know how bad it actually was. And so that part of our life is still improving. I can say we're a work in progress. It takes time, and we have grown so much.
We showed up. My wife, I didn't know this at the time, but she was battling thoughts of suicide. I had no idea. I thought I was being a perfectly good husband. I did my best to serve her, be a great guy. But what she needed was somebody who would step up and be a leader in our marriage. That's not who I was. And I was totally emasculated, physically emasculated by, there was someone in our church, the pastor, and so we felt the brokenness of a church, having to leave and just hurt, and devastated. One of the biggest breakthroughs started in our marriage is when Lucy started being a wife to me. And I, as a leader, I should step up, right? Take action first, be the initiator. She did it. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a completely different person. And I can tell you, our marriage has just, it's amazing, the difference between her feeling suicidal, me stepping down as a leader, to me taking the initiative and just looking her in the eyes and saying, honey, thank you for allowing me to be your leader. And she just melts every time. This is awesome. So. So let me just tell you this, guys. If you're struggling, or you're broke, you're wondering what your next step is, hey, just take action. Follow those notes that you just took. Take action and do it, because your story is going to be here, and people are going to be inspired by your story. So are y'all ready to take notes? All right, let's do this. Help me welcome Miss Dani Johnson, America's favorite millionaire, to the stage.
Change your habits, change your future. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Yes, Dani, I have a goal, but I just don't know how to get there. Okay, well, we're going to use this next segment with Tom Venuto as a perfect example of how to create a plan. How to do it in such a way that motivates you. I found that through his book, the knowledge that I gained from his book and how he broke everything down and made it so simple, that it caused a natural motivation in me to eat certain foods and to stay away from some others. It actually naturally motivated me. In my own mind, made the decision like, well, that's just wise. That's just smart. The book, Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle, and The Body Fat Solution by Tom Venuto, author, joining us here today. Tom, one of the things that really helped to motivate me through your book was the breakdown of what it takes to burn the amount of calories of each one of those macronutrients, meaning carbs, protein, and fats. Can you talk a little bit about that with us?
Sure. Well, there is a difference between carbs, protein, and fat. For example, carbohydrate has 4 calories per gram. Protein has 4 calories per gram. But fat has 9 calories per gram. And on a side note, some people call it a macronutrient, alcohol. Maybe it isn't, but it has 7 calories per gram. Wow. So basically what that tells us is fat that you eat is calorically dense, and so is alcohol. Now, that doesn't mean that eating fat makes you fat. That's where that whole myth years ago came from, that eating fat makes you fat. What the problem is, it's easy to overeat calorie-dense foods that are high in fat if you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So how many people are not paying attention to how many calories they eat? A lot of people are. A lot of people think, well, calories just don't matter. I'm just going to eat healthy. And that you should eat healthy. You should make sure, I like to go by a 90-10 rule. Eat 90% of your calories from natural, mostly unprocessed foods. And then with 10% of your calories, you can, enjoy your favorite treat foods. And that's okay. But if you're not keeping track of calories, if it's not even in your awareness, you may not know which foods are calorie dense, and it's easy to overeat and not even realize it.
So with fats, for example, and healthy fats are the better fats to go with. And I was one of those, I never counted calories ever. I just ate healthy. And that worked. I mean, I maintained my weight. However, I was losing strength. So even though I could fit into the same clothes, they weren't fitting the same way. That's for sure. And even when I would, bump up a little bit, lose a little bit, I just found that my body was not... just didn't look the same. So with fat, for example, fat calories being 9 calories per gram, right? Versus protein being 4 and carbohydrates being 3. Do we need all 3 of these in our diet?
We do. In fact, the main lesson about macronutrients is that we don't need to demonize any one in particular. I mean, half of the diet world says fat is bad and you should eat a low-fat diet. At least half the diet world used to. That was really big back in the 80s and especially the 90s. And then the other half of the diet world seems to say, no, it's carbs. That's all. You guys got it all wrong. It's not fat makes you fat. It's carbs that make you fat. But the fact is, if you figure out the right number of total calories to eat per day, then you can eat all the macronutrients, and you should. There should be a balance between protein, carbs, and fat. And when it comes to building muscle, the protein is especially important. And when you're dieting, it's especially important to keep the muscle you have. So you want to have a protein with every meal. That's part of the right combination of macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats together, actually, not eliminating one completely or having extreme amounts of one and very little of any other.
That's where I completely messed up. I barely ever ate protein. Like barely ever. I'd have it once a day at dinner only because I was serving it to my family, but if my family wasn't there, I'd have popcorn. That'd be my diet, is popcorn. But okay, so then moving on from those macronutrients, right, and making sure that we have some of those on every plate when we eat. Now, why is it important for us to maintain muscle while we're losing weight or even build it?
Well, one we touched on already is your metabolic rate, your basal metabolic rate, which is the amount of calories you burn even when you're resting. And that is influenced a lot by your lean body mass. Mm-hmm. So if you're dieting off your own muscle because you're not weight training and you're not eating the right amount of protein, and those are the 2 big factors to keep the muscle you have, then you're going to lose the muscle. 2 simple steps: eat an adequate amount of protein for the day, and it helps if you have a little bit with every meal, and weight training. That will almost completely stop the muscle loss, and you don't have to worry about your metabolism slowing down.
Yeah, those 2 factors were very motivating to me because my diet was super high in fat. Like butter is my best friend. I'm not kidding you. And lots of people have heard me say that. And it was very low in protein. So, and fat, it takes longer to burn fat. That's when you're talking about calorie dense, right? So it takes longer to burn the fat calories that you're eating. Although you have to have them, it's important to have them, but not the excess that I was having them. I actually went back and counted the calories of my average bowl of popcorn with my Tillamook cheddar cheese and my 2 apples that I had. 1,500 calories. That's just a snack, dude.
Big snack.
Okay, and I had 5 tablespoons of butter in the popcorn. Do you understand what I'm saying? And then look at all of that fat in that cheese. It was amazing. But this caused me to go, okay, hold on a second here. All right, so protein has 2 great helpful things. It's going to help me maintain the muscle I already have on my body, but in my case, I want to build muscle because I'm so much weaker today than I was 10 years ago, far more than I was 20 years ago. I'm not carrying my 30-pound, 6-month-old baby on my hip anymore. He's an adult and 22. So I'm not lifting babies like I used to when I had them myself. It's different when you have grandkids, but I have gotten weaker, so I want to get stronger. So talk to us about, especially the women, because there's always a concern about, I don't want to look like, one of those chicks that look like a guy, because there's a lot of those out there right now, like everywhere. Like there's a lot of women that look like men.
Yeah, you're right. But what we don't see is what goes on behind the scenes. And it's unfortunate, but performance-enhancing drugs and steroids and growth hormones, they're used by women as well as men.
Wow.
And, again, if we do that, if we start going down that road, then we're talking about just cosmetics without thinking about our health.
Right. Because that hurts the health.
Yeah, and even more than that, even if somebody figures out how to take these drugs to gain more muscle and to burn more fat, and it doesn't hurt their health, you're getting yourself into a culture of lying and deception, because, and that's not a way to build a strong character, because then you take drugs and then somebody says, hey, are you on drugs? Are you going to come out and say, oh, sure, I take lots of drugs to get my body. And it's deceptive. And, that's why we have to pick our role models carefully. And I think some of the best role models we can pick is there's this whole world in the fitness community, this whole world called natural bodybuilding and natural physique for people who are doing it the healthy way without drugs. And even the people who want to compete, the people who go in contests where they get drug tested. And these are the kind of people we want to look up to.
100% agree. In fact, I have to tell you, I identified with one of the pictures and with one of your clients, and she's a Latin girl like I am. And, she had a typical Latin body that I was leaning in that direction. And if I really let myself go, I would have the exact same body. And so when I could not believe in 49 days, this Latin girl, whoa, that is amazing. I mean, she had quite a bit of fat on her body. Little, she was short and, just typical of my family, and although I'm tall. But that transformation, and to see the abs on her tummy now and even on her sides and her arms, I mean, from no definition at all. And in 49 days, to see that kind of a transformation, that was like, all right, where's the book? The Latin girl got me. That was it. Because some of this, I analyzed the pictures. I could see, I don't know if that's totally true or whatever. But anyway, Tom Venuto, thank you so much. The book, Burn the Fat, Feed the Muscle, and yes, the Body Fat Solution. Get your copy now. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Don't go away. The next segment might just change your life. It's the Dani Johnson Show.
Prior to plugging into First Steps to Success, I was a depressed, hopeless, suicidal drug addict. I had no vision for my life. I absolutely hated people, hated myself. I felt shackled by my debt, and I had toxic relationships. Since plugging in, I've been drug-free for almost 18 months. I paid off nearly $14,000 worth of debt in 14 months. I have completely restored my relationships with my friends and my family. I have a vision for my life now, and I'm actually live and not exist anymore. So I don't know if you have debt or not, or if your life's going perfectly the way you want it to go. But if not, I highly recommend you get registered today for the next First Steps to Success.
Prior to plugging into DaniJohnson.com, we were just lost. We had no hope and light at the end of the tunnel, and we were drowning in debt. After coming to First Steps to Success and plugging into DaniJohnson.com, our income has doubled. We have paid off over $76,000 of debt in just 45 months. My husband and my communication skills have just raised us through the roof, and my husband has cut back his hours, making more income. If you want results like these, you better get to First Steps to Success.
I have been plugging into Dani Johnson for the last 8 years, believe it or not. And people say, why so long? Well, because there's a lot to do in life, and it has changed every area of my life. My business has exploded, my spiritual life has been unmatched, and my relationship with my wife and my family has just been fantastic. We've paid off over $200,000 of debt in just 2 years. We're debt-free, and I just could not be happier. But if you want to change any area area of your life, whether it's your business, your marriage, your relationship with your kids, your financial situation, or getting out of debt, or your spiritual life, I would tell you, you cannot afford to miss First Steps to Success. It's just been a blessing to me and my family. So I really invite you to just get online and get your ticket to the next First Steps to Success. Thank you very much.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.
Helping you become all you were meant to be. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
I don't know if you're catching this or not, but I really care about you. In fact, all of us here in our office and on this team, both the television side and the production of all of our books and audios, everything that we do, all the seminars that we do, we really care about you. We care about your health. We care about your family. We care about your finances. We care about your mind, your emotions, and your spirit. We really do. And the reason why I've been carrying on this conversation is because I know that I have influenced some to continue in their obesity path. I know that my influence has caused some to become even more sedentary, and it's wrong. I didn't realize what I was doing. The reality is that if you want success, this needs to be a part of your equation, because confidence will arise in you when you get your body moving, even if it is just getting up and start walking your neighborhood, even if it's your reading while you're walking, even if you go to a garage sale and you get somebody else's bike that they have not used, stationary bike or physical bike, whatever, that you make the decision, I'm done sitting. I gotta get up. I gotta do something. For why? Maybe the goal is not to become a physique model, all right, or a bodybuilder, like an Ernestine Shepherd, although she definitely has motivated me. I would love to be a physique model at 70. Wouldn't that be incredible at 80 to have that be a goal? Why? Just because it'll keep me on my path of strengthening and good nutrition. You need a goal. I hope Tom Venuto has made a difference in your life. I know that his book will transform your mind as it has done mine. I hope you're already on page 1. I hope that you take this seriously. Your family loves you. Your coworkers love you. We love you. And if we're going to have a life together, you have to be alive. And you need to be healthy. There's so much you want to do. You don't want to call it quits. There's places you want to go, things you want to see. I travel all over the world, and I see those who need the handicap ramps. I see those who can't make it to the top of that hill. I see those who are in so much pain they can't continue. I see those even carrying their oxygen mask with their tank with them on different tours. Now, you got to hand it to them. They're not letting anything stop them. But I'm pretty sure if we were to sit down and ask them, how did you end up here? Is there anything you would have done different? That if they understood that they were in charge of what went into their mouths and what they did with their physical bodies while they still had the time, I'm sure that they would have made different choices. So I don't care how old you are, if you're young or you're in that middle ground like I am or even older than I am, we can start together today. We are the temple of the Holy Spirit, and it's time to treat it that way. It is time to gain the benefits of our confidence, to gain the benefits of achieving something that's important, and enjoying the wealth of health and of money and family and everything else that goes along with it. I hope you enjoyed today. God bless you, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Did you hear that last segment? Do you know someone else who needs to hear it? Go to DaniJohnson.com, find today's show, and share it online.
Hi,
Hi, welcome to the Dani Johnson YouTube channel. We're super excited to have you here. And every single week, we're gonna make sure that you get awesome videos for your business, career, making more money, saving money, annihilating your debt, as well as helping you to handle those really tough problems that you have with people at home, as well as at work, and taking those really good relationships you already have and causing them to flourish and grow. All you have to do is click that subscribe button right down here. Click that and you'll be subscribed to an amazing community of people, as well as some great videos that will help to improve your life. Thanks so much for being here. Subscribe now would be good. Just click it. I know you can see it. It's somewhere down here. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.